Sarvebhyaha Namaskaraha. Welcome to this session on Vedanta Karikavali, a primer to understand the principles of Vishishtadvaita Vedanta. We are in the chapter which elucidates the concept of Jiva. It's very important to gain, let us say, the Paroksha Jnana of Jivatma and then enter into contemplation. Shruti says, Shravanam Mananam Nididhyasanam. Atma is a tattva, that tattva which can be known only through the Shastras. So this prakarana is very important. Let us go through the invocatory prayers and then get into the subject directly. Shriman Venkatanatha Arya Kavitar Kesari Vedantacharya Vadyo Me Samyadhattam Sadahridi Jnananandavayam Devam Nirmalaspatikakritim Madharam Sarvavidyanam Hayagrivumpasmahe यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहतस्ततितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽसदयेकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीमद्रमाधवोपज्ञां नत्वाचार्यपरम्परां कुर्वे लक्ष्मणसिद्धान्तकारिकां कारिकावलीम्. The Jivatma is Anubhavika Vedya. Atma is that principle which can be known only through experience. But those who have experienced also let us know how we can go about experiencing the Atma. And Shruti and the scriptures associated with Shruti, they give us a Paroksha Jnana about what an Atma is likely to be. Of course, there are interpretation differences. So we are studying about how Vishishtadvaita understands the concept of Atma. To be specific, Jivatma. Atma Tattva is common between Jiva and Brahman. The Atma Tattva per se is common. Just like we go to a shop, we buy cloth, material for cloth. Some people may be interested to wear or to keep the same material for all the kind of attire, so like even from kerchief, handkerchief. Though the handkerchief may be small in size, yet it will be the same material as the major portion of the dress. It could be like one completely covering the entire body. It could be 9 yards or whatever. So though the handkerchief would be small, short in size, and etc., still it would have the same material as the other attire. The same way, Jivatma and Paramatma both are Atma, both are of, let us say, same material. Yet Vishishtadvaita, in accordance with Shruti, it does not propagate anything on its own. In accordance with Shruti, it says, it defines Jivatma to be Anuswarupa with Dharma Bhuta Jnana. That is, Jivatma means two jnanas are associated. One is the Swarupa Jnana or Atma is equal to Jnana. Besides being Jnana Swarupa, an Atma is believed to have one more Jnana called as Dharma Bhuta Jnana or Swabhava Jnana to differentiate from the Swarupa Jnana, which has the capacity to expand and become all pervasive. So the Sarvajñatva that is quoted by the Shruti is through this Dharma Bhuta Jnana and not to the Swarupa Jnana. Okay. Now we are the sixth Karika. After explaining what an Atma is according to Vishishtadvaita school of philosophy, the Karikavali Karar or Karikavali author, he brings out the different types of jivas. That is, first of all, the jivas are many in Vishishtadvaita, and they are classified as three types basically: Baddha, Mukta, and Nitya. Baddha jivas are bound in the samsara, who are yet to adopt a means, an upaya for moksha. Muktas are those who were in samsara and who adopted a means to gain moksha and have attained moksha. Nityas are believed to be those jivatmas who were never in samsara. That is because of the sankalpa of Paramatman. Also, we have evidence from the Shrutis which state that there are some Jivatmas who are continuously enjoying Brahman in the past, present, and future. Therefore, it does make sense to believe that there are some Atmas, Jivatmas who have never been into samsara. That's what the first Karika says. Baddho mukto nitya iti jivas satrividho mataha brahmadi samba paryanta baddhaha samsara yoginaha. Baddhas, muktas, and nityas. This is the high level classification of Jivatmas. Within the Baddhas include from Chaturmukha Brahma to the lowest form of life. Brahma is also part of creation. Brahman is different. Brahma is different. The word Brahman in neuter refers to the Parabrahman. Brahma refers to Chaturmukha Brahma, who is of course the, let us say, the first creation. Okay. So Brahmadi Stamba Paryantam. Stamba refers to the minute form of life, let us say, Sukshmaha Keta Visheshaha. Now, within the Baddhas, Traivargikartha Nishnata Bhubukshavaha Udahritaha Arthakamarastatra Swadehatmabhimaninaha. Mumukshu and Bhubukshu. Again, we can classify the Jivatmas into two types, Mumukshu and Bhubukshu. Mumukshu Mokshe Icha Yasya Asti Sa Mumukshuhu. And Bhoge, one who wants to enjoy the material aspects of existence, is called as a Bhubukshu. And the Bhubukshabaha means plural of Bhubukshu. They are bothered about the three Vargas, Dharma, Artha, and Kama, whereas Mumukshu is bothered about Moksha. And within Bhubukshus, Artha Kama Paraha Swadehatma Abhimaninaha. Artha Kama Para are those who mistake or who understand, or rather they may have the knowledge about what an Atma is, superficial knowledge, but still they are devoted to their Sharira. They have more Abhimana for the Sharira, or rather they may even misconstrue the Sharira to be the Atma, whatever. Those are people who are after Artha and Kama, that is gaining wealth and enjoying them. Let us go to the commentary. Bubukshu Mumukshu Bhedena. Bubukshu and Mumukshu. With this difference, Baddha Jivanam Dvaividhyam Abhipraya Ityado Bubukshu Nirupayati. So having in mind this fact that Bubukshu Mumukshu Bhedena, now the Karikavali author, he classifies the Baddha Jivas first by taking a Bubukshun Nirupayati Traivargiketi. Trivargika, Trivarga and Apavarga. Trivarga means Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Apavarga means Moksha. Yeah. Okay. Dharma, Artha, Kamaha, Trivargaha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, these three are three Vargas. Tadruperte Vishaye Rishnataha Tatpara Bhubukshava Ityartaha. Now, within that, Artha and Kama, or rather, these three can be those who pursue Dharma, Artha, and Kama with the aim of being born again. That is, they're not after liberation. So those who pursue Dharma, Artha, and Kama are called as Bubukshus. Techa Dvidha, Artha Kama Paraha, Dharma Paraha. Again, within Bubukshus, it is just easy to take notes, just put a down arrow. I could have done that, but somehow I didn't do it. So you can just, as you take notes, you can keep on putting the arrows and note it down. Now, Bubukshu, threefold: Dharmapara, Arthapara, Kamapara. Okay. Now, again, Artha Kamapara can be classified into one group. So again, Artha Kamapara are and Dharmapara. Why? Because Dharmapara is more conscious about the existence of Atma and acquiring higher worlds, whereas Artha Kamapara are bothered more about enjoying the existential aspects of life, that is within this birth and within this world. Okay. Ye swadehe prakrita dehe eva atmabhimanena aihika sukabhilashena. Those who are believing the prakrita deha to be Atma, and they're more bothered about the Aihika. Iha, Aihika. Iha means here. Aihika means what pertains to here. So they are bent upon enjoying those experiences which pertain to this world. Tad upabhoga sadhana sharira poshanayarthan kamancha abhilashanti te kama paraha. So that is their goal. So to acquire that goal, they maintain their sharira or they feed their sharira with an intention to enjoy artha and kama. They are artha kama paraha. ते तु धर्मपरास्तत्र यागाद्यर्थानुषङ्गिनः धर्मस्थौलौकिकश्रेयस्साधनं चोदनोदितम्. Of course, there is a slight difference of opinion in classifying this dharma artha kama. Somewhere it is mentioned as those who follow strictly dharma or dharma para, those who follow dharma and yet are more bothered about artha or artha para, and those who are following dharma acquire wealth and yet they want to enjoy are called as kama para. But here this is how the definition goes. So dharma para, because artha kama para, it has to be true dharma. That is one school of thought. That's why I mentioned that. But here let us go by this. What this text says: dharma paraha tatra yagad yarthanushanginaha. The purva bhaga of the Vedas, they have injunctions for the eligible jivatma to perform certain sacrifices or yagas to attain certain benefits, certain results. And some of the yagas are performed to attain other worlds like Swarga. So basically, the Jivatmas, what they do is they hear about the existence of other worlds through the Shruti itself. It says, Yatra Sukrutopi na Dushkrataha. There are some statements which describe the existence of other worlds. And it also says, it gives injunctions, Swarga Kamo Ejeta. Therefore, what is dharma here? Dharma means yaga. See, the word dharma is a very big terminology. It has many meanings, manifold. Again, we have to go by the context. Here, dharma exactly means the merit that is earned through performance of yagas or rather the yagas themselves, through which one can reach higher worlds and enjoy the saukya or sukha over there. Okay, so let's go to the commentary. Dharma paranaha tetu iti. Tetu means in contrast to the arthakama paraha. ये तु देहातिरिक्त आत्मनः अलौकिकपारत्रिक श्रेयस्कामाः. There should not be a gap here. Let me read again. ये तु देहातिरिक्त आत्मनः अलौकिकपारत्रिकश्रेयस्कामाः तत्साधनानि यागादिकम् अन्या रचयन्ति ते. One second. Seems to be 8:1. यागादिकम् यागादि कर्माणि यागादि कर्माण्याचरन्ति ते धर्मपरा इत्यर्थः. ये तु those who are worried about the atma tattva, which is different from the deha atirikta atmanah, alaukika paratrika. Laukika belongs to this world. Alaukika means out of the world, as we say in English. Then paratrika means paratra paratrika. Iha aihika paratra paratrika. Shreyaha. Those benefits or the good aspects of life beyond the earth. So those are after that, and those who pursue those activities, yagadi karma nyacharanti te dharmapara ityartha. Prasangatu dharma lakshanam also is given. Chodhanoditam. This is all Purva Mimamsa. What they say is dharma means chodhana lakshanaha arthaha dharmaha. It should have an injunction. It should motivate someone to do an activity. Iti Jaiminiyam Sutra Vyakshitam. Chodhanoditam ityanena chodhana lakshana iti alaukika shreya sadhanam ityanena artha iti cha padam vivartam bhavati. Shreya sadhanam alaukika shreya. Alaukika shreyas is obtained through some activity, some yaga. So there is a injunction in the Shruti that one has to do that yaga or dharma. And this is a very Purva Mimamsa concept. What is dharma? they say Shodhana Lakshana Artha Dharma. So that which makes a person take up an activity, that is called as dharma basically. So therefore the Karikavali author who must have mastered Purva Mimamsa also incidentally gives us some hints about Purva Mimamsa, about dharma, etc. But here dharma means yaga, or the means with which the jivatma who desires to go beyond this earthly existence and enjoy the sukha that is out there. That is the intention here. Those are called dharma paraha. Rudradyāradhanapara anyadeva paramataha arto jignāsarartharthi ityevam bhagavataha smataha. Even within the dharma paraha, there is a difference. Who are devotees of Vishnu alone and who are devotees of other deities basically. Because in Vishuddhadvaita, one needs to remember that the Paramatma is identified as Sriman Narayana or Vishnu. All devatas are capable of bestowing phalas. But they, just like in modern organizations, we have people with limited powers bestowed on them. So each devata is believed to have certain powers beyond which they cannot bestow any merits. But uh, for people, they wouldn't know the differences. So it is possible that some people are naturally attracted towards other devatas, and some people are attracted towards Vishnu or Bhagavan or Narayana. Therefore, who are following Vishnu to for their, let us say, dharma, they are called as Bhagavata, and who are following other gods are called as Anya Deva Paraha. And even within the Bhagavatas, Artaha Jignasuhu Artharthi, because here I think I have to say the background of the Gita here. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, let us see this line in the commentary, the fourth one. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukrutino jana arto jignasarartharthi jnani cha bharatarshaba. So based on this shloka, the classification has been given. Artaha, Jignasuhu, Artharthi, Jnani. These four. Jnani is actually Moksha Paraha. So the remaining three, Artaha, Jignasu, Artharthi. These three are given here, who are basically after pursuit of those benefits that are acquired beyond this world. The commentary is going to give us definitions about Artha, Jignasu and Artharthi. Let us go to the commentary. Dharma Pareshi eva Devatantara Paratvena Bhagavat Paratvena cha Dvaividyam or Vaividyam Abhiprayan Adhyanaha Rudra Ityadi. This we saw Bhagavat Paraha and Devatantara Paraha. Rudradim Devan Bhagavat Chariyatvena Swatantrena Va Abhimatti Ye Aradhayanti Te Devatantara Paraha. It is possible that some people may accord the Paramatma status to Rudra and then worship him, or they may accept Narayana as the Paramatma and Rudra as his Sharira, etc. Still, they would be attracted towards that deity. But either ways, they are called as Anya Devata Paraha or Devatantra Paraha. Bhagavat Paranaha Artaiti. Artaha Anubhuta Brashta Aishwarya Kamaha. Actually, Artha and Artharthi can be grouped together. Anyway, he's going to say that Artaha means one who has experienced some wealth and lost it. Maybe a king lost his kingdom. Artharthi means Ananubhuta Apurva Aishwarya Kamaha. Artharthi is a person who has not yet experienced anything afresh. He wants to enjoy something new. He has not enjoyed and lost it, whereas he wants to enjoy something new. Ubayoho Yetayoho Aishwaryarthitva Avisheshepi Mukhabhedena Prataguktihi. Now, now this can be reduced to only three differences: Aishwaryarthi, Kaivalyarthi, and Moksharthi. That is, Artha and Jignasu can be brought under Aishwaryarthi. Artha and Artharthi. Jignasu is brought under Kaivalyarthi, and Jnani is Moksharthi. Because Krishna is going to say Jnani tu Atmaiva me matam. That's the shloka which is going to follow that. So Krishna is very much fond of his devotees who want to attain only him, not the other three. But still, Mukha Bhedena, there is a difference between the within Aishwaryarthi. Therefore, Artha and Artharthi are mentioned separately. Jigyasuhu. Prakriti Viyukta Atma Swarupa Anubhavechuhu. So, Jigyasuhu is equal to Kaivalyarthi. You may note it down. Jigyasuhu is equal to Kaivalyarthi. And Artharthi plus Arthaha is equal to Aishwaryarthi. Both are after wealth, but it is like does not pertain to the this world, because if it pertains to this world they would come under Arthakama, but here it is Alaukika also. Therefore, Aishwaryarthi is equal to Artha plus Artharthi. Kaivalyarthi is equal to Jignasu. The Kaivalyarthi is technically accepted, though it is quite difficult to answer questions pertaining to Kaivalya, which you are going to see in the discussions in the coming slides. Kaivalyarthi is a person who does not want Prakriti Sambandha, who is also not keen to go to Moksha, who is also not keen on attaining Paramatma. So he chooses to be somewhere like a caterpillar in a cocoon, he chooses to be there. But now where this fellow will be, for how long he will be in the cocoon, nobody knows. Okay, only if he, maybe when you go to Moksha, we can see some Kaivalyatis somewhere residing somewhere, I don't know, maybe in the Prakriti Mandala, or even, there's a point of contention between the two branches of Vishishtadvaita, basically the Tenkalai and the Vadakalai schools, because some acharyas believe the Kaivalyarthi would go to Sri Vaikunta and stay in a corner, whereas some people say they cannot go to Sri Vaikunta, they'll be somewhere in the Prakriti Mandala. But again, these are all very hypothetical issues, and it does not matter to us actually arguing or probing much into this concept of Kaivalyarthi. But in the Gita, it is mentioned. Therefore, the school believes that Kaivalyarthi is one class of Jivatmas who Prakriti Viyukta Atma Surupa Anubhavechuhu, who want to experience their own self without an iota of sambandha with Prakriti. Jnanameva asya swarupamiti tadichoho jignasatvam. Why they are jignasu? Because they are after the jnana anubhava. Kevala jnana anubhava. That's it. Therefore, they are called as jignasu. Because jnatumicha jignasa asya asti iti jignasu. Therefore, ete sarvepi swasva abhilashita siddhyartam devatantara parityagena bhagavadeka dhyanapara ityesham bhagavatatvam. Now, let it be Aishwaryarthi, that is Arthaha or Artharthi. Let it be Jignasu or Kaivalyarthi. Let it be Jnani or Mokshapara. These are all devoted to Mahavishnu. Therefore, they are called as Bhagavatas. Atra, this shloka is a pramana. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jhana sukritino arjuna arto jignasirartharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. इति भगवद्गीता वचनम् अनुसन्धेयं तत्र हि देवतान्तर परित्यागेन भगवत्परा हि सुकृतिनः उक्ताः. Therefore, these are called Sukritina because they have given up the sambandha with other devatas and they are dependent upon Bhagavan or Vishnu. Next, Mumukshunam cha Kaivalya Paranam Lakshma Katyate Prakrute Estu Vyuktasya Svatmanonubhava Param. This is already discussed in the commentary. Mumukshunam cha Kaivalya Paranam. The definitions of Mumukshus and Kaivalya Paras is given. Kaivalya Paras are those who want liberation from Prakriti and they want to enjoy their own self. Atra kechit Siddhant Ekadeshinaha. Now the commentator wants to add certain things here. Siddhant Ekadeshino means some people within the Siddhanta who are Vishishtadvaitins, but what they say is Mumukshun Parama Mukti Paratvena Kaivalyakya Mukti Paratvena cha Veda Vibhajya Varnayanti. What they say is that they classify Mukti and Parama Mukti. Parama Mukti is Moksha, that is Sri Vaikunta Vasa, and Mukti is Kaivalya, that is they consider Kaivalya as liberation, which means there is another school of thought within the system which does not accord the status of Mukti to Kaivalyam. Kaivalyakya Mukti Paratvena cha Dvedha Vibhajya Varnayanti. They believe in this way. Tanna Yuktam iti Abhiprayanne Tana Pratyekam Lakshayitum Upakramate Mumukshunamiti. Now the Karikavali author belongs to that school which does not believe Kaivalya to be Mukti. Only Sri Vaikunta Vasa or going to Sri Vaikunta is the Mukti. Okay, therefore he does not believe Parama Mukti and Mukti. Only Mukti he is believed, and Mukti means entering Sri Vaikunta. Pratamam Suchi Kataha Nyayena Kaivalya Paranaha. Now there is a Nyaya. I wanted to brush my memory on this. Let me come back next week. Just I got Suchi Kataha Jnana. I don't want to. I'll never get back. With this Nyaya, Kaivalya Paranaha. First, the Kaivalya Paras are described. Kaivalya Parana Miti. Prakrutehe Sakashat Vimuktasya Swatmanaha Anubhava Parana Mityartaha. They want relief from Prakriti and they want to limit themselves to experiencing their own Atma. Kevalasya Itara Samsarga Raitasya Bhavo hi Kaivalyam. Kevalasya. What is Kevala? Sanskritam Kevala means alone, staying aloof. Itara samsarga rahitasya. There is no samsarga, no association with anything else, even with Paramatma or Prakriti. Therefore, they are called as Kevala Paraha, and their state is called as Kaivalyam. Prakriti Viyukta Swatma Anubhava Paraha Kevala iti Palitam. Kaivalyam Martima Gena Gatvape Ramam Padam Ramana Tektapat Nivate Kvachit Kone Vatishtate. This is the belief of that school within the Vishittadeva Sampradaya, which believe that like a mumukshu, like a mokshapara, a kaivalyarthi also leaves the body through the archiradi marga. Archiradi marga is described as a exclusive path for only those who are going to attain moksha. By taking up that path, the Sushumna Nadi, the people who have adopted either Bhakti Yoga or Prapatti to attain Paramatma, at the time of the death, those Atmas will go through the Murdhani Nadi and then they will go to Sri Vaikunta. But some people believe that even Kaivalya Para also, they also go through the Archiradi Marga and they will stay in Sri Vaikunta. But these are all very sensitive issues. We cannot talk freely these days, and that too in a medium like webinar. It is recorded. It is there is some more which is going to come. Very sensitive. It's quite difficult to share complete this thing. He says a wife abandoned by an husband, etc. These are all the examples which they gave casually in those days. So what they say is that the Kaivalya Para would stay within the Sri Vaikunta, but in a very remote place, far from Paramatma, and they are devoted to Paramatma in a passive way, and they have been abandoned by the Paramatma, like a wife abandoned by an husband would live like this. So Kochit Kone Avatishtate, they live in some corner. This is the belief of some people. Of course, they should be having some pramana, but this is not accepted by the Deshika Sampradaya. Kaivalyamiti Purvena Anveti. Te cha Kevalaha Kena Margena Prakutaloka Nirgachanti. How do the Kevala Paraha leave the material world? Putra Sitpa Swatmanam Anubhavanti Ityatraha. See, this is a very interesting discussion, but even in Sankhya, other yoga, etc., when they say a Jivatma attains moksha, now where would the Jivatma be? Of course, will they be in Prakriti itself and still not be connected with Prakriti, or will they, when you draw a circle kind of thing, then you draw small bubbles outside, say the Jivatmas would be sticking outside the Prakriti? Or it's a very it's a very interesting question actually. Where would the Jivatmas be after they attain liberation? Like Nyaya, even, but of course Nyaya says Jivatmas Vibhu. Vibhu means now what is the extent where it's all very of course we cannot conceive everything, but still very interesting questions and difficult questions to answer. But at least Vishiddha Veda has something to answer. Of course, we can verify after getting moksha. What it says is there are two parts of the vibhuti. One is Prakriti Mandala, other one is Nitya Vibhuti. So from Prakriti Mandala, you go to Nitya Vibhuti and stay there after liberation. But here, the Kaivalya Paras, they are not going to be part of Prakriti Mandala, and they have not sought moksha also. They have not sought to stay with Paramatma. So where will they be? That's the question here. Archir margeneti, archiradi margena gatva paramapadam praptavanti. So they attain Paramapada through Archirati Marga. Parantu Paramapadam Praptanam Parabrahmanubhavasya Shastra Siddhatvat tad Viduraste Paramapad eva कुत्रचित् कोणे लब्धास्पदा यथा पति परित्यक्ताः साध्व्यः पातिव्रत्यम् अनुपालन्त्यः पति सान्निध्य आनन्दानुभवं विहाय अवतिष्ठन्ते तथैतेपि परब्रह्मानन्द अनुभवं विना वर्तन्ते इत्यर्थः. So some acharyas they believed that they would still go to Paramapada and live in a corner as given the example, and they would continue to be there. Okay. कैवल्यम एतत् केषाञ्चित् आचार्याणामेव सम्मतम् अस्मदार्यास्तु कैवल्यं न मन्यते इति स्थितम्. So the commentator, the Karikavali author now clearly says that this is Kaivalya arthis will also go to moksha. This is believed by only some acharyas, but not by our acharyas, not by the school of acharyas which he belongs to. Yeah. Now the commentary. एष च कैवल्याख्यो मोक्षः परमसिद्धान्तिनाम् अनभिमतम् इत्याह. We check how many slides I need to cover. Okay. एष च कैवल्याख्यो मोक्षः परमसिद्धान्तिनाम् अनभिमतम् इत्याह. Paramasidhanti is what he says. Those acharyas who do not believe in Kaivalya to be moksha. That is, those who sought Kaivalya would never go into Sri Vaikuntha. Archiradi margena Paramapadam praptasya Parabrahmanandhanubhavasya avashyam bhavitvat tad vaidhuryena svatmamatra anubhavah sutaram asambhavitah. See, if a jivatma takes up the Achiradi marga, and if Achiradi marga is like, it's a closed, let us say, a road. Just like how in other countries they have built underwater subways. So if you enter from here, like France to UK, other end is only UK. You have to go only there. You cannot go anywhere in between. So if Jivatma enters Achiradi Marga, then he has to go to Paramapada only. And if he enters Paramapada, then Brahma Anubhava is something which is fixed. Okay. So he does not have an option there not to choose or not to take up or to refuse the Brahma Anubhava. It's not possible because Shruti does not say that way. Therefore, this is not acceptable. Because Shruti clearly says, So Shrute Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipashyateti. This is what the Shruti says. Tatra Kamyanti iti Kamaha iti Utpatya Kamapadena Anandhadayo Brahma Gunaha Uchyante. This is a very exclusive interpretation by Vishuddha So Shrute Sarvan Kaman. Now, Kama is such a very, what to say, not a very well appreciated word because Kama is always has got negative connotation here. But here Shruti says once he attains moksha, the fellow will enjoy all the kamas. Then how can that be taken right spirit? Therefore, the interpretation given by Vishuddha says that what is kama? Kamyanti iti kamaha. If you go by that Vyutpatti, Kamapadena Anandhadiyo Brahma Gunaha Uchyante. It is the qualities of Brahman which are understood to be as kamas. Therefore, Ataha Kaivalyakyo Moksha Nasti Tyataha. Now, once he goes there, Shruti does not talk about the Kaivalyarti itself as entering Sri Vaikunta and being alone. Because once the moment a Jivatma enters Sri Vaikunta, he will be rejoicing in Brahma Anubhava. Ataha Kaivalyakyo moksho nasti ityartha. Therefore, there is no moksha or mukti called as Kaivalya. Yadi paresham jivan mukta vyavaharavat mukti kalpataya tatra gauno mukti vyavaharas tata kamam vyavahriyatam. Now, there is an attack on the other school of thought which believes in jivan mukti. When they say jivan mukti, again, Vishishta Veda does not accept jivan mukti because it's like two opposing words coming together. Jivan mukta. A person is alive cannot be mukta according to this system. Therefore, Vishishta Veda does not accept Jivan Mukta. Therefore, Kaivalyarti cannot be called as Muktas. Nano Kevalatma Upasakanam Tatkatu Nyayat Svatmanubhave Yeva Palam Bhaviti Margati. That is a Nyaya called as Tatkratu Nyaya. Tatkratu Nyaya means whatever the Jivatma lecture பண்ணிருக்கா. Okay. Technology blues. Okay. Yeah, Tatkatu Nyaya, what it says is that whatever the upasana is about, the Jivatma attains that. Not less, not more. The Kaivalyarthi, he was meditating upon his own self, Jiva, his own Atma. So it does not make sense when you say a person is doing upasana on his own self and attains Paramatma. It is not possible with the Tatkrata Nyaya. It's a huge discussion in the name of Tatkrata Nyaya. Tatkrata Nyaya is a huge discussion because there are 32 upasanas, more than 32 upasanas, and what do the upasakas meditate upon? What do they get? Because they're going to meditate upon only a few gunas, a few attributes. Would they? How would they experience Brahman in full or entirety? These are very difficult areas to grasp. But what it means is that Tatkrita Nyaya means whatever is the object of meditation here, the Jivatma would attain that. Therefore, Kaivalyarthis, since they meditate upon their own self, they would attain only their self and not Paramatma. Techa Kena Margan Nugachanti, then how, by what route they will exit? Putrava Avastitis Teshamiti Chete. Where would they stay? If somebody asks like this, a commentator very casually says, Ena Kenabi Margan Nugachantu. Whatever way they might get out, let them leave the body. Yatta Kutrava Prakriti Mandala Dishtantu. Let them stay anywhere in Prakriti Mandala. Natu Archiradina Nirgamaha. Very emphatically he says, Kaivalyarthis, by the strength of Shastra, cannot go out the body through Archiradi Marga. That is, there are various exit points in the Sharira to which an Atma can leave it. Only one way is there to attain moksha. The rest are all would lead to rebirth. Therefore, Archiradi Marga is reserved for Jivatma if it is intended or if it is destined to attain moksha. Therefore, a Kaivalyarthi cannot go through Archiradi Marga. Nava Paramapada Avastiti Teshamiti Siddhantaha, and therefore they cannot go to Paramapada because Archiradi Marga is the only way to enter Paramapada. A tunnel is the only way. If you don't go through the tunnel, you would never reach the other place. That's the point here. Bhaktaha Purvokta Bhaktiyaiva Mukti Sampraptya Pekshinaha. Any questions are here? Okay. Bhaktaha Purvokta Bhaktiyaiva Mukti Sampraptya Apashudra Bhakto Shudranadikritya Sputa. This is one more sensitive area which we cannot discuss very openly these days. But that's why the Vedanta itself was reserved for private study. Not this was never put in a public formal domain. So let me try to explain these things in a very diplomatic way. Bhakti Yoga is such a upaya which was based on the Shastras. And the Shastras, like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly, Chaturvarnyam Maya Sashtam Guna Karma Vibhakashaha. The basis for the Chaturvarna or the Varnashama Dharma is based on the gunas. It is assumed, it is believed that people, when they are born, will have certain gunas dominating them according to their birth. So the basis of classification of people into Varnas was the presence of gunas. There could be exceptions, there will be exceptions, but rules cannot be framed with exceptions in mind. Rules have to be framed with the majority in mind, and that's the logic behind Varnashma Dharma. And only the first three Varnas were eligible to take up the Vaidika karmas. And since Bhakti Yoga involves predominantly Vaidika karma, in which the Upanayana had to be performed and they had to chant the Vedic mantras, etc. Naturally, people who did not belong to the three Varnas and men, they were not allowed to take up Bhakti Yoga. Okay, and there are reasons, and of course there are reasons for people to believe it or not to believe it, but this is what Shastra says. So we have to explain what the Shastra says, and Purvokta Bhakti Eva, that is in the previous chapter, Bhakti Yoga was explained in the Dharmabhuta Jnana Nirupana. The process of Bhakti Yoga, what they do is they take up that Bhakti Yoga to attain moksha, and of course they have to be within the eligibility group. Basically, they have to have the adhikara to take a bhakti yoga. That's what this karika says. Ata mokshaparaanaha bhakta iti. So mokshaparaha now the classification about the mokshaparaha is there. Bhaktaha पूर्वोक्त इति धर्मभूत ज्ञान निरूपण प्रकरणोक्त रीत्या इत्यर्थः. Dharmabhuta Jnana Nirupana, we already saw. There, it was extensively explained what Bhakti Yoga is in accordance with that discussion. Ye Bhakti Yogena Moksham Praptam Ichanti De Bhaktaha. Because the word Bhaktaha could mislead. Who is a Bhakta? Bhakta is the person who has Bhakti. But what is Bhakti? Bhakti has different stance. It could be very basic thing of getting up and saying Namaste, or having the highest state of having the thought process filled with completely that object with Preeti. So there is a kind of flux. So here, but Bhakta refers to the extreme end where the Bhakti yogi is unable to even survive without the meditation upon the Paramatma. तत्र च भक्ति योगे त्रैवर्णिकानाम् एव अधिकारः तस्य वैदिक मंत्र करणकत्वात्. This we already saw. People belonging to the three varnas and the two men are only believed to have the adhikara to take a bhakti yoga. न शूद्रस्य तस्य वैदिक मंत्र अनधिकृतत्वात्. But not for the fourth varna, because shastras they forbid the usage of Vedic mantras by them. Kincha bhakti yogehi varnashrama dharma iti kartavyatam apadyante. Also, bhakti yoga very clearly involves the performance of varnashrama dharma. Tadaha vihitatvacha ashrama karma api iti. Ashrama vidhuranam ashrama karma prasakta bhavat angadhikara bhavat na angin yadhikaraha. Bhakti yoga is angi, and this bhakti yoga, it has many angas. If a person does not have adhikara or right to perform the anga, then naturally he does not have the adhikara to perform the angi also. That's what it says. Therefore, the itikatavyata means whatever is ordained by the Shruti for the first three varnas, only they can take up bhakti yoga, because they have the eligibility to take up the angas or the different levels of bhakti yoga. The auxiliaries or ancillaries. एष च विषयो भगवद्भाष्यकारेण भाष्यकारैः निर्णीत इत्याह अपशूद्रणय इति प्रथमाध्याय तृतीयपादस्य नवमाधिकरण इत्यर्थः. This is Sri Bhashya. Sri Bhashya is a commentary to Brahma Sutras. In fact, Brahma Sutras themselves, they discuss about this eligibility issue. So the commentator is quoting or citing the reference to Sri Bhashya or Brahma Sutra Bhashya. साध्य साधन भक्तिभ्याम भक्ता स्युः द्विविधा मताः परांकुशादिकान् आद्यान् व्यासादीन् अपरान् विदुः. Even within the bhaktas, there's a difference now. That is, we are looking at moksha para now. We have seen Aishwarya para and Kaivalya para. That is Aishwaryarthi and Kaivalyarthi we saw. Aishwaryarthi are Artha and Artharthi. Kaivalyarthi is Jignasu. Jnani is Mokshapara. Within Mokshapara, there are two differences. One is Bhakti Yoga Paraha and Prapatti Paraha. Within Bhakti Yoga Para, there are two kinds of people, Bhaktas, Sadhya and Sadhana Bhakti. Now, Bhakta, now I mentioned that the Bhakta should not be understood to be a very lay Bhakti. But now in this Karika, in 14th Karika, the word Bhakta is going to limit its scope to those people who are immersed in Bhagavad Anubhava. But there's a difference. Those who voluntarily immerse in Bhagavad Anubhava to keep it as a means to attain moksha. The other people who do not depend upon the Bhagavad Anubhava to attain moksha, but this is natural to them, and their end is itself to have that Anubhava. It is like walking for the sake of walking. Some people walk to reduce weight. Some people, they just enjoy walking. So this is the difference. So people who do bhakti yoga with a mind with an intention to attain moksha, they are called as sadhana bhaktas, because they have sadhana bhakti. Whereas people who do not bother about the result, they enjoy the anubhava, they are called as sadhya Bhakti Yoga Nishtha. Examples are given in the Vishtadeva Sampradaya or Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. 12 alvars, 12 saints, saints. They have been deified and they are worshipped in the temples, and they are worshipped in the temples. There are 12 alvars basically. Uh, Two Parankushadika Nadyan. Parankusha is the name of one Ayvar. Adi means includes the 11 also. So therefore 12 Ayvars are there. They belong to the former group, Sadhya Bhakti. There, the Bhakti that they had for Bhagavan was not to attain moksha. How do we treat acharyas like Vyasa, etc.? Now, Vyasa, they come under Sadhana Bhakti Yoganishta, where they performed bhakti to attain moksha. Now, this is all interpretation and with evidence, acharyas have come to this conclusion. So, it is all based on faith. तत्र भक्तानां द्वैविध्यमाः साध्य इति भक्तिर्द्विधा साध्य भक्तिः साधन भक्तिश्च इति यत्र अवस्थायां परिनिष्पन्न भक्ति योगैः भगवदनुध्यानं स्वयं प्रयोजनतया परमस्वादितया च निरन्तरम् अनुष्ठीयते यत्र अवस्थायां in which state the bhakti yoga on Bhagavan, that anudhyana is for the sake of doing it, not intended to get something else. Experience enjoying the Brahma Anubhava for the sake of enjoying it. Swayam Prajanataya, Paramaswadutaya. Because when we do something to get another thing, the tension will be there in performing. Because if I do this well, I will get the result. Therefore, the complete enjoyment will not be there. But when just like when let us say a father and son, they are playing badminton or some game. The son, because of his age, would be curious to win the tournament or win the competition. But the father would not have the real intention to beat his son, but he would be still playing. So he would be enjoying the game more than he would be looking at his son, how he is playing, etc. Whereas son would be in tension because he has to win the tournament. That would be the state of mind. The Sadhya Bhakti Yoganishta would be enjoying that experience because they do not keep that as a means to attain something else. Sadhanam tu Bhagavan eva iti sudrudo vishwasa sa sadhya bhakti prapatti tata giyate. Now sadhanam is Bhagavan only, not bhakti. This is the state of mind of sadhya bhakti nishtaparaha. This could be confusing because sadhya and sadhana both are very close and sound very similar. Sad, let us look at sadhana first. Sadhanam always means means. So sadhana bhakti means those people who perform bhakti yoga to attain moksha, those who depend or believe that it is the bhakti yoga which is going to give them moksha. Whereas sadhya bhakti is for those people who cannot but do anything else than bhakti yoga. It comes very natural to them because of the maturity in the jnana, etc. That bhakti yoga is natural to them or bhakti is natural to them. So those are called as sadhya bhakti. Okay, for them, for the sadhya bhakti, they are very clear that it is only Bhagavan which is who is going to give moksha, and this bhakti is just enjoying. Like if you find in the Sri Suktis, in the stotras and the prabandham of these ayvars and acharyas, they would say Vaikunta Vasepi Namebhilashaha. Uh, like one acharya, Swami Deshika, Vedanta Deshika says, he prays to Lord Varadaraja of Kanchi. He says, I prefer to stay here only in Kanchipuram, provided if I'm able to get darshan, if I have bhakti in you, if you have a place for me in your heart, and I have the sambandha of all your devotees, why should I come to Sri Vaikunta? I will say stay here itself because I have that anubhava here itself. Now that is the state of mind of sadhya bhakti yoga nishtas. Whereas sadhana bhakti, there they perform that bhakti yoga to attain moksha, believing that it's only that sadhana bhakti that bhakti is going to give them moksha. Therefore, here sadhanam to Bhagavan evit sudrido vishwasaha sa sadhya bhakti. Bhagavan is going to give me moksha, not the bhakti that is going to perform. That is the belief of the farmer, in which Parankusha, the Ayuvas are considered to be part of that group. Prapatti is also like this only. is like Sadhya Bhakti, and the firm conviction that Bhagavan is going to give moksha. Yadahu. This we saw in the previous section. If you can recollect, sadhanam bhagavat praptau sajeviti stira amatihi sadhya bhaktistata chaiva prapatyati giyate upayo bhaktireveti praptau yatu sa amatihi upaya bhaktire tasyaha urvokta eva ghariyasi. That is bhakti and prapatti. Prapatti is considered to be sadhya bhakti, and sadhana bhakti is bhakti yoga. But it does not stop prapannas, those who have done prapatti, from performing bhakti yoga. They may also have that same bhavana as a sadhana bhakti nishtha. But the difference is that here the prapannas are those who have done prapatti or sharanagati would never have the idea that the bhakti that they have for Paramatma would give them moksha, because it's Bhagavan who is going to give moksha. Whereas those who follow bhakti yoga as a sadhana would always have it in mind that the bhakti that they're going to perform would give them moksha. And so prapatti is also considered along with this sadhya bhakti. Parankusha parakaladayah sadhya bhakti nishtaha. Parankusha is Nammalvar or Shatakopa. Parakala is Kaliyan, is one more Alvar, one of the 12 saints. Tehi parinishpanna bharabhakti yogaha parama bhakti mastitaha swayam prayojanataya samahadi paraha bhagavad anubhavika para avartanta. It's a very technical phase. So maybe this only introduction. One has to listen more to get a grip of it. Just to give an example of the story of Shatakopa or Nammalvar. The whole episode here, I mean, the whole discussion is about the birth of the Alvas and Bhakti, etc. Nammalvar was believed to be born in the fourth Varna, and when he was born, the moment he came out of his mother's womb, he did not cry. The child or the infant did not cry for food or anything, for milk, etc. And they didn't know what to do with the kid, with the just born baby. They took it to a temple, and it is believed that the child, when was placed on the base of a tamarind tree, it just stayed happily there. It just went into meditative mode, contemplation. So here, several questions arise here. How can a just born child, in fact, his very name Shatakopa is a very interesting name. Shata is believed to be that Vayu which strikes the just born, the infants. It brings back all the vasanas in them. Until they are in the womb of the mother, what they say is they are kind of protected from the samsara vasana. But the moment they are born, the Shata Vayu is a bandha which creates a bandha. It strikes the just born infants. But Shatakopa, the child, Hunkara, he did a Hunkara to that Vayu, the Shata Vayu, and therefore he was called as Shatha Kopa or Shatari. Now, how to account for the bhakti that he had? He is believed to be a prapanna. He is believed to be one who had performed a prapatti through his work and his life history. But still, he had the state of mind as closer to a sadhana bhakti nishtha. Then how do we account for this? That's what is the crux of this section basically. So Parankusha Parakaladeha Sadhya Bhagnishtaha. The other Alvars, they were also on the same levels of Nammalvar. If we read the literature, we can understand the desperation to get to attain Bhagavan or the Bhagavad Anubhava. They could not tolerate the gap in their meditative states. If they lost the Anubhava in the meditation, they would again get into a kind of a crying kind of thing, that they lost the Bhagavad Anubhava, etc. This is all evident from their works, what is called as Nalayira Divya Prabandham. But by Sampradaya, it is believed that they are all Prapannas or they performed prapatti. Why? Because if you look at their birth, they could have never taken up Bhakti Yoga, because as we see in the earlier discussion, Bhakti Yoga was meant only for those who were born in the three Varnas. But predominantly, almost most of the Alvas were not born in the first three Varnas. Now, it's only 9:55, so we will perhaps stop here the discussion about Alvars. We will, on the 12th slide, we will continue with the discussion in the next class. Any questions are there, you can ask me now. Yes, that's a question. Yes, sir.
Sir, I am unable to understand what Kaivalya is. Hello?
I had to gulp some water, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So there are three ends or goals possible for a Jivatma. One is he can aim for better control of Prakriti. Right now, the Prakriti is controlling the Atmas in the Baddha stage. So he can choose to be within this system and trying to have a greater control over Prakriti. This is one. Second is he can aim to get freedom from Prakriti and attain Paramatma, the highest Anubhava or Ananda, as mentioned in the Shastras. But there could be someone who does not wish to be part of Prakriti, who does not wish to attain Paramatma, but who can choose to enjoy or stay in his own Anubhava, Atma Anubhava. When we meditate, what happens is, first of all, even before attaining Paramatma, the step before that is that a Jivatma has to realize himself. But when you do that, sometimes what happens is some people may choose to stay there in this Anubhava because I'm okay with this. I don't want to go further. Like when you want to go for trekking, you have to leave the basement, that is Prakriti. When you keep on going up, even before going to the top, in the middle, you may find a location which is so beautiful that a person may drop the idea of going to the top and choose to stay there. So he is neither closer to the top nor closer to the foothill, but staying somewhere in between. So this example can be explained to explain the state of a Kaivalya.
What I am unable to understand is that if Atma is enjoying, it would always enjoy some second object. Like we say in the deep sleep, Atma is enjoying Paramatma. It is always enjoying some second object. What is the meaning of enjoying or enjoying itself?
Okay. This question can be answered only by Vishittadvaita. Now, we saw that the Jivatma is Jnana Swarupa, and over and above that, the Jivatma has Dharmabhuta Jnana. Correct. Now, the object of Dharmabhuta Jnana becomes the Jivatma himself. So what happens in that state is that this is a very theoretical. Okay, I have not gone into that state, but this is my understanding from the Shastra. You have a camera with you. That camera, phone, telephone, smartphone. It has a camera at the rear, which you always see in the outside world. Suddenly, you try to you discovered the selfie camera, and then you start looking at yourself. There is sudden happiness because we all love to look at ourselves. So this could be an example for that state, wherein with the Atma Dharmabhuta Jnana, the entire focus is on the Jivatma itself, and the self-awareness is also there. Therefore, it's complete happiness for that Atma basically. So it is the object of focus of Dharmabhuta Jnana basically.
And it is said that Paramatma is having kripa and his. But how can he allow someone to be permanently doomed that he will never get enjoy Paramatma?
No, that question can be extended. No, then how can he allow people like us sitting still here? He could have taken us all to moksha.
But we would get moksha someday. But those who attend Kaivalya, it is there. It was said that he will never get Anubhavam.
See, that's why I said no. It's all hypothetical. No, it is not. Some pramanas were there. Some acharyas took it up, and then it is just mentioned. Okay, and it becomes an interpretational issue as to where they will be and what they will enjoy, etc. So that's why Deshika Sampradaya, it's very clearly says that Kaivalya is accepted, but it is not moksha. So there is an end point to Kaivalya Anubhava. Then perhaps at the end of the Pralaya, the Kaivalya artis would also go to moksha. That's how the Vedanta Deshika school believes. What they say is that Kaivalya arti or Kaivalya Anubhava is like taking rest, a sojourn in that journey. Example of climbing the hill, a person chooses to stay there, but ultimately someone will come up and say, hurry up, you have to go to the top. Then no, he goes to the top of the mountain. So in that way, during Mahapralaya, those Kaivalyatis would cross over to the Viraja Nadi, and perhaps they'll start enjoying Paramatma. But until then, they have requested for self enjoyment. You can think like that. But again, these are all hypothetical discussions. So yeah.
Because whatever desire we are getting, it is because of the three gunas. And when we are into the Virja, we are not having these three gunas. It means we would be desiring only for Bhagwan,
Yes, yes.
not having any desire to be separate from him like that.
Very true, very true. So we were convinced that Kaivalyarti will not be a permanent state of existence.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. There's one more question. Hello, hello. Veena Ujar. That's how the name looks to me. Hello, appears to me. Hello, not able to hear you. Hello, your hand is raised. Maybe you can type your question. I'm not able to unmute. Hello. Okay. Okay. Any questions you can type the question pane. Okay. If there are no more questions, then we can end today's session and we'll continue next week from the 12th slide. Okay. Maybe there was a hand raised by mistake. So let me end the session. Kavitarkigasamhaya Kalyana Gurushalini Srimate Venkatesaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Namaste Dhanyavada.